for your Dennis Shopper to be excused. We have 2 vacant chairs.
Okay. Everyone had an opportunity to look over the agenda. A motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving to community leader report, Sergeant Moncourt.
Okay, so for June, for the Sheriff's Office, for Rosamond first, we handled 673 calls for service, made 29 arrests. It will become a trend, but to give you an idea, Mojave's station, since we have the shared agreement, they handled 638 calls for service and arrested 29. That gives you, Rosamond had 35 more calls overall for the month of June.
We do take the calls this year.
I have a litany of, there's a whole bunch of them. It will take me a while, but it looks like, let me see here. We have a lot of burglar alarm calls, it seems like every month. For businesses or houses, the alarms are going off. We're responding to a lot of those in both areas. A lot of that has to do with sometimes the wind blows, bangs the door, sets the alarm off, kind of the nature of the business. So to give you an idea, 49 of those calls in Rosamond were burglary alarms. Out of that, it looks like there was 12 burglary reports. So that could be related to the alarm. It could be something completely separate. I don't have that breakdown for what that is. And then for us, I guess just as a reminder, for the Sheriff's Office, for our office here in Rosamond, there have been a lot of people coming to the substation. They ask for either me or a deputy, or we're not there. And it makes it difficult for us. So as I thought about that, if you want to talk to, if you want to get a hold of me or a deputy about information for the public, for the most part, a deputy's not going to give you much information, or they shouldn't. As far as that goes, the way that would work is you'd have to come see me, tell me what you want, whether that be, hey, what's going on in my neighborhood. The deputies can kind of give you an idea about that. I can give you a little more information if that's what's needed. And I'm available if you'd like to make an appointment, call my secretary, say, hey, I'd like to see him. My email address, if you want to write it down, email me directly. It's my last name, Moncur, M-O-N-C-U-R, first initial M, at, all one word is currentsheriff.org. And I'd be more than willing to either come to you or set some time aside for you to come to me. And that works well with our deputies too. I attended a neighborhood watch or crime prevention meeting over in the area, neighborhood by United Park. And I had a lot of questions there. Basically for us is, let us come to you. That's the most convenient for you. We're mobile, so if you need something, you want to talk to us, call and leave us your number. Call dispatch, leave us your number. We can either call you if that's what you prefer, or we can drive to your house. That gives either me or my deputy's opportunity to interact with you face to face and give you a little better quality of service. And Jim's working. I just wanted to touch on, has anybody seen, paid attention to what happened early Sunday morning in Bakersfield with one of our deputies? No? Check on YouTube, it's there. There's a release. He went to a, what we call check the welfare of a mentally ill person, and the deputy's at home resting with 25 stitches in his forearm after being stabbed. So that just kind of reminds us of all of this. It's a sobering fact that at any time anybody can go off for any reason. So that's kind of the big thing for us for amongst our ranks is we're praying for the deputy involved and obviously for the family and whatever issues were underlying, but that kind of reminds me, and is a point that I've always been taught from a baby deputy all the way till now, is our mentally ill are can be the most vulnerable because they're unpredictable. So keep that in mind if you have friends, neighbors, family, that deal with things like that. Those things can go really well and they can go really bad really fast. So other than that, I don't have anything unless the board has any questions.
What's going on with all the fireworks that we're still hearing, the mortars that are going on?
Well, I haven't heard any reports, so if you're not calling, shame on you. And the other part is usually for our fireworks, we rely on the fire department to go in a big fat ticket for it. But they're under the same, they're going to have the same issue as we have to catch you. So you could set off a bottle rocket from your house, it'd explode, and if I don't know where it came from, I don't know who to give the ticket to. So
I'm going to put mirrors on the top of my fence.
copy that. Yeah, that's those types of calls are like the loud music calls. And I guess what we're talking about, that, summertime's, we're right in the middle of it, people are having parties. The law allows you to get a permit from the county to have amplified music. Anything short of that, if I can hear it 150 feet from your front door, you get a ticket.
What if they're in their car?
That's a different section, but yes. The bump and stereo. The issue that comes down for us, the way that the law works, is those are infractions, and I have to witness it in order to give it
And
the
it's at
ticket.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Because you're not calling the same number. So just
Become very busy.
just understand, it's kind of twofold. We are busy. I spoke last month about our staffing situation. I just do that to remind you, just keep that in mind. We know it, but really and truly, if there's an issue in your neighborhood, I don't live here. I know what happens in my neighborhood. And if you don't bother to tell somebody who needs to know,
I'll fix you dinner if you'll come sit at my patio and just listen to it.
call me when it's
I
happening.
swear I'm going to get a radio and I'm going to put country music on as loud as I can.
So I'll give you a scenario that has happened, hopefully not to be too specific, but for our community, to give you an idea. Somebody threw a party for a holiday recently and made the neighbor mad. It was too loud. I don't know for a fact whether or not we got called. And so in retaliation, the neighbor decided to throw their party the next weekend and make their neighbor mad. And that's never going to go anywhere.
I just want to drown out the language.
So what we try to do for those things are we like to come out, witness the violation if we can, and give your homeowner, depending, at least a warning. Hey, I mean, that's how I work. You know, if you're having a wedding reception or, you know, whatever's going, graduation party, 4th of July, whatever. Hey, usually if the homeowner's reasonable, hey, look, I can hear it from down the street. The neighbors are probably trying to sleep. You need to turn it down. I think everybody deserves at least one chance to comply with the law for that. If we have to come back again, then I start looking for my citation book, especially in the same night, because you've been warned once. So the thing about it is, with our business, statistics drive deputies, theoretically. So the more calls there are, the more work to do, the more reason there needs to be more of us here. So I appreciate the heck out of the community understanding what we're dealing with, but you not calling, yes, it would ease a workload, maybe, because it could fester into something worse rather than cut it off if it's in the beginning. But it also doesn't show the work that's really here. So I firmly believe in that. I've said it in every community meeting. If you don't call, shame on you. That's your fault. I don't know if you don't tell me. And I would much rather have that than when it festers and you're mad as a hornet and you want to tell me about 6 months worth of loud music, and I'd rather start at day 1 or 2 when you've decided you've had enough of your neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. When you have it, Sean?
Good evening, Sergeant Floss from the Mojave area. Lieutenant Williams is, believe it or not, on vacation right now, so he's actually staying away. So that's usually he's on vacation, he's still sleeping. So hopefully he's getting some well-deserved rest. Let's see. In the month of June, in the Rosamond community, my officers handled only 4 injury collisions, which seems to me that it's going down. That's good. 10 non-injury collisions, still I think going down. 17 DUI arrests, which is up maybe a little bit, I think. So good from our perspective. Bad that there's more of them out there. Let's see. We responded to 3 animal hazard calls. I think one was a horse. We responded to 8 hit and runs. Those are never good. And we had a total of 31 reckless drivers in the community, or calls in the community that we responded to. Not necessarily that we were able to find them. It's most of the time when we get to where the report was, they're already gone. So that's the stats I brought with me tonight. And
Did you have any DUIs over the 4th of July?
our arrests on the 4th of July were scarce because 99% of our force went up to Ridgecrest to respond up there. I kept a skeleton crew down here. I kind of ran the command post in Mojave and sent bodies where they needed to be, and I kept one in Mojave for response everywhere, and everybody else was in Ridgecrest blocking roads and assisting people up there. So unfortunately, our maximum enforcement period didn't materialize the way we would have liked it to, but because I'm sorry.
Well, that was a much higher priority anyway.
Exactly. And luckily we have those extra bodies on that can go up there and help out. So.
Do you have any results of the DUI assessment you guys did?
My partner ran that, but I talked to him a couple days later, and there were 0 DUI arrests, but they did write a fair amount of tickets. A couple of unlicensed drivers were removed from their vehicles. So on a Wednesday, non-holiday, I think probably we didn't expect a whole lot, but you never know. So just remind everybody we're still here, we're still looking, so keep you on your toes.
What do we have to do to get the highway patrol out here to patrol Rosamond Boulevard at 5:30 in the morning and 6 o'clock? It is terrible out here. Even Avenue A, now that's a certain street from Avenue A on 100th Street going to Rosamond. They're going 80, 90 miles an hour. And they make a left turn right on Rosamond, going out that way. I go to Tom's every morning. I know you see me down there at Tom's, you coming right through the door. I got my private seat there. Well, someone's gonna get hurt. We had last night, you had that one that got killed, that guy riding that thing there.
Right.
And it had to be a friend of mine's son, but I don't know if he was drinking or what he was on a scooter or something, understand?
Right.
But,
Well,
I wonder about when school starts open again. It's
Right.
worth saying, because I got kids, the school bus goes down and picks them up. And I know it's not the sheriff's responsibility, because it's on the highway. You gotta get the highway.
Right. Well, I'm gonna parrot Sergeant Marcour on that. If you don't call me and tell me there's a problem, then I
I've
don't
been
know.
over at State Mojave, you know what they told me? We don't start till 5:30 in the morning.
Well,
Come on, now,
I have a great,
That's not true.
I have a graveyard shift that's still working at that time, so whoever took that call was, I won't say
Well,
misinformed.
this is about a year ago, but I mean, they worked patrolling for a while, and my understanding was, if they got a ticket going over at the solar yards, they were getting fired. And then traffic kind of slowed down, but then you get past down there by the school and stuff, the 45 miles an hour, and they're going 60 or 70 down there.
Well, we're still actually working, grant speed patrol down at the solar plant. So I had an officer working down there each morning this week, and they are there pretty much from like, well, it's 5:30 to 9:30 or 6 to 10 in the morning, targeting, well, I shouldn't say targeting, but looking for speeders in that area who may or may not be employees out there.
You're doing a whole circle though, aren't you? Yeah, a whole radius.
Drivers don't want to pass a car, another car coming down, because I nearly got a couple times coming down. Because I'm at Tom's every morning at 5 o'clock. I mean, 6:50 done with a smile.
Okay, I've observed in a 2-day span, 3 accidents involving 7 cars on the overpass to right about where the Chevron is. And one of them had their airbags deployed. I went out to the high school and came back, and I saw 2 more from 30th to where Albertsons were. And you guys were so busy, it was just unreal. So, are you guys keeping track of?
Traffic is backed up that far?
No, they were accidents where actually people was turning and somebody hit them, and it's like, it was a free-for-all from 30th to where the Chevron is in Rosamond.
And that's pretty standard. We get the calls in the morning when the commute's going out to the base, and in the afternoon when they're leaving the base. So that's, we expect to get those calls almost pretty much daily. And when we don't, we're thankful that people are behaving for the most part. As shorthanded as they are, so we do the best with what we've got, and I try and send 2 officers to cover my entire area for a 9-hour shift. That's covering Rosamond, I mean, you've heard it, Rosamond, Boron, Mojave, Tehachapi.
Yeah, 2 of you guys were taking care of the 3-car accident, and another one occurred about a block away. So
Right.
he runs down to try to take care of that one. It's like, that's how fast these are happening.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, all we can do is try and be out there when we can, when we're not handling the collisions. We try and be out there to get people to pay attention and slow down, so.
And I just want to say thank you for you and John for managing my side of the town over towards the base. I see you guys out there in the morning.
Our side of the town,
Yes,
please?
our side, sorry, our side.
Just special.
Our side, yes, our side. But I do appreciate that, because that traffic in the morning is outrageous.
Well, and to touch on that, we have been working on our responsibilities on the base lately, increasing that, so that's why instead of ignoring it, I've been here for almost 20 years. When I first got to Mojave, we didn't play on the base.
Right.
We have had many discussions with the command out there recently and realized that that is our responsibility, so we're fixing that with our officers.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I have one off-the-wall question. I think I know where our sheriff's department gets their funds. Where does the highway patrol get theirs? Out of Sacramento, or is there something local?
Your vehicle registration
Yeah.
is where we get it.
DMV. Okay. So Sacramento divvies that up to everybody. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I will add to Sergeant Kloss, I pulled over at least 3 people coming down PWS, passing over double yellow and speeding. And I've seen his officers out there hitting that, because that's a thoroughfare for Patachki area down here, for whatever BEP will plant 42, the solar plants, or whatever. So we're out and about.
Okay, some women like these office. Hi, Brendan.
Hi everyone, how you guys doing today? So I only really have one update for you guys. Today, as of last week, we're really happy to announce that AB 127 was signed by Governor Newsom. So essentially what this bill was a proposition to increase funding and allow California Highway Patrol to actually conduct research on impaired driving due to drugs such as marijuana. So this has been signed in, and we're really excited to see where it goes, how the DUID research advances, and to see what thresholds can be met and see what we can figure out on people that are actually driving under the influence.
Any questions for some women like these office?
I do have a question. I don't know this, so I'm just throwing it out there. Is there an actual test for under the influence of marijuana? That, I mean, you can say, oh, well, I can smell it on you, or you know, but is it, you know, like you can do a breathalyzer test.
Yeah, I'll clarify that.
Actually, an actual one.
Are you looking for a field sobriety test or an actual evidentiary?
You're talking about
chemical test?
DUI and marijuana.
Well, I know Assemblyman Flaherty has been kind of spearheading a field sobriety test specifically targeting levels of marijuana for impairment. As of right now, our department, I don't know that one even exists to measure presumptive level of impairment, like we have a little, we call it a PAS device, preliminary alcohol screening device, to give an idea of the level of alcohol impairment. They're still working on developing one of those for marijuana. So as it stands right now, it's based on the officer's observations and perceptions. Like you said, the obvious first one is the smell. That's huge. And then from there, we just go through our standard field sobriety tests, which don't target alcohol, drugs, or anything in particular. It just shows that it doesn't matter what influence you're under, you're going to show signs of impairment that are relatively universal across the board for any kind of drug. But I think what you're getting at is, do we have side of the road breath test that will give us a presumptive level of impairment for marijuana? Not yet.
So it's just like a judgment call.
It is.
And is this person acting erratic or, in your opinion, impaired? I just wondered if, you know, if you're going to accuse a guy, or not accuse, but cite a person for DUI under the influence of marijuana, we'll say. There really isn't a way of saying, oh yeah, he has X amount level of this, as, you know, like a alcohol could be 0.08, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it will go down to the, again, like you said, the opinion of the officer, and if in his opinion, his or her opinion, they feel the individual is impaired, they'll make the arrest, and at that point, there becomes a requirement for the evidentiary chemical test, which in that case would be a blood test, and that'll measure the parts per million of that the person has on board, and that will go hand in hand with the officer's documentation of his observations on how impaired that person was.
And because of that drastic split on lack of a definitive, like, I want to say modifier is not the right word, definitive determinative factor, that's why this research is necessary. That's why we've been pushing for a lot of different bills that focus on research into DUID, research into different tolerances of driving under the influence and everything like that, because we don't currently have that infrastructure. We passed certain laws allowing people to use different drugs medically, recreationally, but we don't have that infrastructure in place to actually determine tolerance, determine viability, determine if someone is under the influence. And that's a major issue and a major safety. Thank you.
You've said DUID, so.
Driving under the influence of drugs.
Oh, drugs.
I think that's the correct breakdown for it. I could be inaccurate about that acronym, but it's right under that.
I think it's like one different in a word, but.
Kern County Supervisor Laura, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Laura Lynn Wyatt. I'm with Kern County Supervisor Zach Scrivener's office. I have quite a few things, so I don't know how much time I have. I wanted to cover a few things that maybe aren't necessarily Rosamond, but they're regional for the county. And the first thing I did is I brought some flyers. Kern County Public Health Services, they are going to be having a vaccine clinic, getting ready to go back to school. This year, the clinic happens to be in Tehachapi at our county office building on Tehachapi Boulevard. The address is here on the flyer. They're having 2 sessions, first one July 25th, the next one August 6th. Just because it is occurring in Tehachapi this year, you are just a county resident. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about those. So I'll leave these flyers for everybody. One project, I don't know if there's any train buffs in the room, but one project that we're working on that I think will help, again, the entire region and tourism to the region. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Tehachapi Loop, right? So right now the monument is there on Woodford Tehachapi Road. And if you're familiar with Woodford Tehachapi Road at all, it is a 2-lane, windy mountain road. If you want to enjoy the loop and you want to observe the trains going through the loop, the parking is limited. You have to cross the street to get to the monument, and there's a very narrow shoulder there next to the monument. So Kern County Public Works Department is working with a nonprofit called Friends of the Depot, and preliminary designs for a viewing deck have been submitted. They've been approved by the county. They've gone back to Friends of the Depot for any edits that are needed. We do need a small easement from a private property owner for one part of that easement, or part of that deck. But he's been very cooperative. He's obviously a train buff as well. You own property right there by the loop. So we anticipate that project to be approved and get going maybe late August. So we think that that's really going to help tourism in our region. Diamond Street, that pertains directly to Rosamond. So I want to talk about Diamond Street. I was at the meeting last month, and I've been involved in my community for many, many years, and I spent 4 years elected to the Golden Hills Community Services District Board up in Tehachapi. And while I was on that board, I was the liaison for the RenewBiz grant project for Old Town in Tehachapi. So RenewBiz is very near and dear to me, and I knew that Diamond Street was one of the projects that was completed during that first round. When I was down here last month, I was disappointed in the condition of the beautification. So the next day happened to be Guido's at the Hangar ribbon cutting that I was attending. Excellent Italian food, by the way. That was a good day. But I came early, and I went down to Diamond Street, and I parked my car, and I got out, and I took a bunch of photographs. And I sent those photographs to the Public Works Department in Bakersfield. Since then, I hope that you've seen some weed abatement. We are working with the traffic department right now to repair any lighting that's been broken or damaged. And we will be working with them to remove any graffiti. I know graffiti is a constant battle, and I'm still learning how that gets rectified. So, but we're working on it, so hopefully you guys hang in there with me, and you're going to see some beautification and some revitalization done on Diamond Street. So I wanted you to know I was working on that.
And it did work, because I noticed in 3 days, those weeds were pulled.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes,
And thank you.
that makes my heart happy.
Mine too.
Okay, so I brought some props tonight. I'm going to pass around, and I'm going to talk about something that's going before the Board of Supervisors. I'll start with the board here, and you guys can pass these around while I talk. Tuesday, going before the Board of Supervisors, is going to be what's called an intergovernmental agreement. This project is the Hard Rock Cafe Hotel Casino that is proposed at the, basically the Mettler area, which is the 99 I-5 split. You guys familiar with where the Tohono outlets are? Okay. The Tohono Indian tribe is the only federally recognized Indian tribe in Kern County. And they own property there, and they are proposing to do a resort. That comes with some challenges, obviously, from the county standpoint, because even though they're in Kern County, they own their own property and they're their own government agency, okay? So going before the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday is going to be a proposed intergovernmental agreement between the Tohono Indian tribe and the Board of Supervisors. So I wanted to share with you guys some key points of what the Board of Supervisors is going to be asking of the tribe, and share with you a little bit about what this resort is going to be like, and hopefully bring to our area. The plans are announced. It's a $600 million Hard Rock Hotel Casino. It is slated to have 1,000 construction jobs and 2,000 permanent jobs once it's completed. Thank you very much, Sergeant. They're talking about an RV resort, a luxury pool and spa, a full-service casino, parks, shopping, up to 13 restaurants. This is a huge, huge undertaking. However, Kern County Public Health and the County Council, Fire Department, Sheriff's Department, there's a lot to consider when you're adding something like that to your county, right? So part of what the IGA will provide is building a joint fire sheriff substation, purchasing a new 110-foot ladder truck, purchasing a new Type 6 wildland fire vehicle, 12 new fully equipped Sheriff's Patrol vehicles, and funding Sheriff's Training Academy. The estimated value of a one-time and reoccurring payments to the County of Kern are estimated over $220 million over a 20-year duration.
And the amount of shares that's going to pay for?
They have, I saw that number. Where was that?
Did you say 220 million over a 20-year?
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
So just,
Go ahead.
they're asking the county to build these facilities, and then they'll reimburse over a period of time. Is that right?
No, the tribe is gonna take care of the construction and everything. But you see, they're utilizing land within Kern County. With that comes the need for law enforcement, right? The need for fire, the wear and tear on our infrastructure, okay? So the Board of Supervisors is saying, okay, you guys don't get to do this big, huge project and not expect to reimburse the county for some of these costs that are coming forward. So that's what this is about.
Okay, so let's go back to the amount of shares that's going to fund.
Okay, so, let me go back. It's construction of a new fire and sheriff substation, 110-foot ladder truck, Type 6 wildland fire vehicle. It just says Sheriff's Patrol vehicles, Sheriff's Academy.
So you're going to
So it doesn't have the amount of
Right,
bodies.
so you're going to have a vehicle sitting there, so who's
No,
going to sit in the vehicle?
No, they wouldn't do that. We're done.
And that's over a 20-year span for the academy as well, too, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
And again, this is in the negotiating process, and this is going before the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday. So pay attention, let's watch this play out, let's make sure that this is negotiated properly.
So that 10 million a year over 20 years goes into a general fund, or is it going to be specific allocations of that money?
I have that. I believe. Fire staffing to the fire fund, it says 66,480,000. Sheriff staffing, 57,809,000.
This is over the 20-year period, just
yes.
for clarification? Thank
Yes, yes. And this is all available, and this is all going to be a part of the agenda on Tuesday. So you'll be able to see all of this online. It is transparent, okay? General fund, they have a 47,935,000 approximate calculation. Also, they have an occupancy fee, room fee of 6%, and that would also go to general fund. So I wanted to propose that to you guys tonight. I wanted you to know that this is coming and that the Board of Supervisors is looking at it carefully, and there are going to be negotiations that have to happen for this to move forward. So again, you guys can look at the photos, and please pay attention to Tuesday's meeting, and let's make sure that this happens properly so that the county gets reimbursed for their expenses. Yes, yes, that's part of paying into the infrastructure that they're going to have to do. No sales tax. No sales tax will be generated to the county of Kern because they are their sole independent government agency.
But the occupancy tax will take over that.
Correct.
That fee.
Correct.
Just say no.
They can. That's
You
going to
don't
be
wanna give
before,
us sales tax?
that'll be before the board on
They
Tuesday.
make 90 million a year on a good casino.
That'll be before the
Yeah.
board on Tuesday. Absolutely, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we're done with that, can I digress?
Sure.
So you're gonna build this nice platform at the loop. How many people will it hold? And if you have that platform to hold those people, what are you doing to resolve the parking? Because there's still no place to park.
Yeah, they're gonna have to grade the shoulder wider and make sure that they have places to park, because we're facing challenges now where we have tour buses
There's no place to park.
that want to park. Yeah, absolutely.
So is
that's
it
gonna have,
for
that's
10
part
people
of
or for 20 people?
you know what, I'm gonna guess because I haven't seen the preliminary plans for myself. I've just talked to the Friends of the Depot. I think ideally they're hoping to at least hold 20 to 25 because that's what's gonna hold a tour bus.
Got a lot of grading
So-
of the road to get 25 cars in there.
Well, or one bus, or entrepreneurs out there, let's start a van pool from downtown Tehachapi. They do the wine tours, right? Why not?
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Since it's in Kern County, can you tell me the machines have to be a little more liberal in Kern County?
Probably not. So, and I did attend the chamber meeting earlier this evening. So I have opened the dialogue regarding Diamond Street with the chamber as well. I'm hoping that we can work as a partner for that one. So, anything else?
Thanks for bringing that information. That's pretty interesting, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, John.
Have one question about Mojave Tropical Road, about a mile north of Switzer, on the west side of the road. There's a lot of dirt being moved, a lot of dust. What's going in there?
I don't know. I wasn't aware of that. I'll have to look into that.
Somebody said it was a solar field. Somebody else said no, they're mining rock, the cement plant.
Is it California?
Mining rock,
Is that right?
There you go.
and they're hauling, I forget what kind of rock it is. They're hauling to mix in the cement, and they're hauling DG back.
Very good. Okay, anything else for me? All right, I'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Rosamond Community Services District, Greg, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. Got some real exciting news with the Rosamond Community Service District. For those of you who haven't already read it in the Rosamond News or Valley Press, last Wednesday, we met before the Lahontan Regional Water Board. And they approved our permit for our recycled water plant expansion and percolation plan. Kind of give you guys an idea how this works and why we're so excited about it. In the past, sewage was treated to a Title 22 level, and that water was used, industry standard for the most part, would be to percolate that water through irrigation of green belts, golf courses, athletic fields, things of that nature, and use recycled water to irrigate green areas versus drinking water. The beauty of this plan, and it's revolutionary, is that now we will be able to take 100% of our flow and treat it to a denitrified secondary and then percolate it on site. That water will percolate down into the aquifer, and this community will get a credit. We're estimating about 1,000 acre-feet a year. Might be a little more, might be a little less. There's other factors in there as far as evaporation and things of this nature. But the point is that we'll be able to start healing the aquifer because we're in an adjudicated basin now. And we'll be able to get credit of 1,000 acre-feet of water for this community. And that's water that we don't have to go out and find. And we don't have to pay millions of dollars in infrastructure costs to pump the recycled water to irrigate football fields and baseball fields and other areas like that. So it's a win-win situation. We're excited about it. We can't wait to get out to bid for construction on this. Our application process is before the AV Water Master. We don't anticipate any issues with that. And then once we get that all done, then they will officially give us the credit for the water that we're percolating. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I spent 37 years in the water reclamation business, and this is a new concept for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it work. Thank you.
Is there anyone here from the Lahontan Board of Directors that could talk about that long-awaited permit?
My name is Keith Dias, and I am a member of the Lahontan Board. All I would like to say is congratulations to Rosamond Community Service District. Thank you.
Okay, Chamber of Commerce, Jack. Jack Miller, Rosamond Chamber of Commerce. Event center is, for this phase, done. We got the pavers up, canopies up, stage is up. It's been signed off by the county to operate. And so we're just waiting for the next phase. We've got a meeting next week with the Renew Biz Grant Committee. And see where our status is on our new grants for cement, solar panels, and some new windows and doors for the chamber. New officers, we did have our elections. Myself and Jed was re-elected, and then we had our position elections. So I've been re-elected as president. Gene Melcher's here is re-elected as vice president. Albert Gatton is re-elected as secretary treasurer, excuse me. And then our wonderful Donna Morris left the chamber, so there was an appointment. So Joe Bender of Guidos has joined the chamber as a director. And so we have myself, Gene Melchers, Albert Gatton, Jed Strange, and Joe Bender are the 5 board members. We have a really strong board member. We're looking forward to some exciting stuff this year. September Fest and Armed Forces Day Parade is going to be September 21st. We have discussion of the night before doing a faith fest at the new event center. And so that's doing coordination. And Saturday morning will be the Armed Forces Day Parade. We did get approved by the Pentagon. That'll fly over. So now we just have to coordinate with Edwards and see if they can meet those requirements. So it all has been approved by the Pentagon. Our team this year is POWMIA. So we're going to try to work with the organization, see what we can do. We're thinking about doing maybe a missing man wall for the parade or something like that. And hopefully we can find POW. If not, we'll just do a special salute for the missing man. And, so a lot of good stuff. Yeah, does anybody here know a living POW?
We have a few at the post.
Do you have some
We
folks?
do.
We would love to have one as our grand marshal.
Okay.
So if you can get with us, let us know. And then beyond that, we got some other events we're looking at. October, we're going to do Diamond Blue and Trunk or Treat. We haven't picked a date for that yet. But we're looking at that. We're also looking for December doing a Christmas show, some concert, some entertainment, maybe some plays, activity play or something to that effect with the local groups and so forth. And that's anything else? Yes, Steve? Okay. Anybody have any questions? By the way, the forms for the September Fest and Parade are on the chamber website currently. By the end of the week, we will have online payments set up with a new payment site that we have that be mirrored off of our main site. And so we'll be able to take electronic payments soon. And of course, we'll be sending out and looking for sponsors as well for the event. Different size banners and so forth. Waste management is want to mention that they were voted in tonight as a new member of the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you. I appreciate you joining the chamber. And be a big asset. So, I think that's all I have. Nobody else has any questions.
Thank you, Jim. Southern County Unified School District, Carol.
Okay, so our new superintendent started on June 22nd, and she was here before that, kind of unofficially for a while. She's been meeting with all of the administrators, making sure that positions have all been filled, and everybody that had to be shuffled around is now in position. We are still looking for a teacher for the cadet corps. We have one for the high school. We still need one for Tropico. And then there's a couple of special ed positions that we are still, looking to hire, but mostly everybody's in their place. We were able to give our teachers, $100 to buy materials for their classroom, and it's not a lot, but it goes a long way toward making the teachers feel like at least they've been acknowledged. So we are happy to do that. And it's summertime, so there's a lot of maintenance and custodial work that's going on. That's very, very, very busy. 2 of the classrooms at the high school had been damaged by water, and they had to be completely remodeled. Those have just been finished. And they're doing inspections for safety inspections for the fire department and all of those things. That's all what's going on. I'm very excited about the new superintendent. She's a go-getter. She's really out there, you know, trying to make sure that things go smoothly. And I didn't write notes today, so that's pretty much what's going on.
Well, wait, do you want to, Dr. Brent?
Well, it's not official yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Unofficially, yesterday, Dr. Brandt said that she has taken a position outside of our, outside of Kern County and will be leaving, so she is going to be resigning. It's not official yet, but she'll be resigning and we will be looking to get a new board member. So if you know anybody that she's going to be hard to replace because she had lots of experience administratively in schools and you know, so anyway, we'll be looking. Look for the announcements coming soon.
Thank you, Carol. Rosamond Community Cleanup. Y'all couldn't make it today. Antelope Valley citizens for responsible use of water. Brandon Scott has been excused for this evening, but he did give me a report to read to you. He reports that the water supply conditions in California are still very good for this time of the year. Most of the reservoirs are near full capacity and above their historical averages. Precipitation for this water year is at 127% of average so far, and the Northern California snowpack levels are also well above average.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes, Greg.
Yeah, I would just like to add on that water report, you know, we keep hearing all this great news coming out of the state with the reservoirs and everything being full. And I would just like to remind everybody, or at least just because the water situation is in good shape right now, we still live in a desert. And I appreciate the fact that everybody in this community is doing a great job of conserving water, changing their habits, not using as much water, changing their landscaping. And I would encourage everybody to continue in those efforts, because dry times will be coming again. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of when, not if. And so I would encourage everybody to continue with the conservation efforts that they've gotten themselves used to performing, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Can I add something about water too? The school district has contracted, I think for the first time, with the water district to provide drinking water for our schools. We'll still be using groundwater for irrigation because the arsenic levels are too high. So we were able to kind of trade 4 acre-feet for being provided with the water, of course, at an expensive but I just thought I'd let you know that we got that going on.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone from Edwards Air Force Base? Albert, would you like to give us a real estate report?
Sure. Albert Gatlin with Keller Williams Realty. Quick update for the Rosamond area on residential housing. We currently have 53 active homes for sale with an average list price of $296,502. That equals about $170.26 per square foot. So if you know how big your house is, times that by 170.26, and that's about the average price range kind of going right now. On market is 53 days. We have 50 pending sales currently, which is quite high compared to what it had been. The pending homes are currently averaging at 273,637. It is normal to have a pending average that's lower than the list average. So everybody's looking for a deal. They're looking for something that's not necessarily, you know, the average or higher on price. For May, let me go back to May, we had 24 homes sell at an average sales price of $268,038. And then June, last month, was 34 homes sold. So it went up by 10, which is good. Average sales price went up to $270,093. So the price per square foot for sold homes last month was at $165.30, with an average time on market of only 23 days. So if the homes are priced right, they're going pretty quick. And we're seeing a lot more activity with, you know, going from 24 sales to 34 sales, and now currently 50 homes that are pending. So if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to me. I'd be more than happy to help.
What do you contribute to the increased sales?
A lot of it's season. Real estate is seasonal. A lot of people start looking for a home when the kids are out of school for summer.
And how long is that season?
Till about school starts. And then when we get to the holidays, it'll, you know, slow down a little bit more. But if you're selling your home during the holidays, the buyers that you have are generally much more serious, because they're not going to go and waste their time looking at homes to buy if they're not ready during the holidays.
Thank you. Then we'll turn the floor over to our guest speaker, EDF Renewables.
Go ahead and bring up one of these here. We have two maps available, one in the back. Just hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Thank you for hosting us tonight. My name is SCOTT KUHLKE from EDF Renewables. I'm here with my colleagues, Devin Muto and Krista Hudson in the back. My hope is that I'll have about 10 to 15 minutes this evening to discuss our project we're developing west of here called the Big Beau Solar project, and then answer any questions during this time. And then if there are any questions that folks like to ask us individually, happy to do so after this time period. So I'm going to be introducing ourselves, who EDF is, and then talk about some details of the project. Just to be aware of the map that I'm speaking here as a guide, we have a duplicate map in the back. We also have a handout on the table. There's a blue table there in the corner, as well as some water and cookies for those that would like a snack during this time or afterwards. Okay, so EDF Renewables started for those who don't know EDF Renewables, EDF started a company in Palm Springs, essentially turning nuts on the and doing operations and maintenance on the Palm Springs wind farm. So wind farm is down in Palm Springs. The company's grown significantly since then and is now a wholly owned subsidiary of EDF SE, which is Electricité de France. So we are owned by the French utility. But our North American group is quite large. We have 1,100 employees in North America. Our headquarters are in San Diego, California, with a number of satellite offices around the United States. Headquarter office for Canada in Toronto and Quebec, and in Mexico we have an office in Mexico City.
EDF in Kern County, we know Kern County really well. EDF has been developing wind and solar projects in Kern County since the early 2000s. We've permitted in full 7 projects in Kern County. 4 of those are currently operating today. It would be the Manzana Wind Farm, Pacific Wind Farm, 2 solar projects, Catalina 1 Solar, Catalina 2 Solar, and a project in construction now, Valentine Solar. So I'll step over here in this map. Pacific Wind and Manzana Wind are west of our project Big Beau. Catalina 2, Catalina 1 are north, and Valentine Solar, which is currently in construction, will go commercial operation end of 2019. And Big Beau Solar is a project right here that fits just south of Catalina and just adjacent to the Valentine Solar project. So we have great knowledge of the area, really like working in Kern County, and look forward to working with Kern County much longer in the future. Not only do we operate these projects as well, we do have an operation and maintenance facility on Willow Springs to Hatchby Road that support all the projects that I mentioned here except for the Manzana project, which is located in this area. Going into the actual project location, I'll talk about the marketing and then some overview steps we're doing now for the project's development. Big Beau Solar, located here, is roughly 9 miles away from where we're sitting this evening. It's about 8 miles north of the LA County, Kern County line, so Highway 138, which is south here. The project, Big Beau, has been in development from a land acquisition perspective for quite some time, but it's really taken shape and form over the past 2 years. The area that you see here in green is the what we're calling where we are seeking a conditional use permit from the county. This green area encompasses 2,290 acres of land, and then this 2,290 acres also includes a consideration of a 160-acre state land parcel in the project. Anywhere in this green or brown of the state land parcel is an area that we are considering for project infrastructure. This would be for solar panels, O&M facility, batch plant, so it'd be a temporary batch plant, temporary laydown yard, as well as a project substation that will deliver the electricity to the point of interconnection, which is the Whirlwind substation about 4 miles south west of the Big Beau project. The size of the project will be 120 megawatts AC of solar, and we're permitting up to a 60 megawatt battery storage system that will deliver power for up to 4-hour blocks. This is a kind of a new field in development where as the sun goes down, the storage will then capture that electricity. Our solar farm will actually feed that battery, and when there's no sun or low production and is being called on, that power can then be delivered to the grid. The likely technology that we're going to be using in solar is going to be a tracker system, and then crystalline bifacial solar panels, but that's part of the permitting process. That may change, but that's a likely scenario for the technology we'll be using. Marketing-wise, the project, we do have a what's called a power purchase agreement with 2 Bay Area off-takers, Monterey Bay Community Power and Silicon Valley Community Power. They will be the ones that will be buying this electricity. So this project won't be commercial operation until the end of 2021, at which point the power from the project would be delivering electricity to the grid. A few other points of interest as far as the project itself. I mentioned here the area in green is where all project infrastructure would be located as far as the conditional use permit.
We're also considering 4 Gen-tie routes to connect to the Whirlwind substation. We have routes that are close by the project that we're considering, also others that may go further along to the west. But all these are part of our study with Kern County, with our environmental impact report we're in the process of with Kern County. One other point of note is the access roads we are considering for the project as well. There are 2 access points from Rosamond Boulevard north, so 140th Street west and 130th Street west. And we're considering 1 access point from 90th Street west, which would be Hamilton Road, up 105th, and west on Favorito. So the current permitting status of the project, we are working with Kern County currently. We submitted the project. We started engaging with Kern County in December of last year. Our application package to Kern County was deemed complete in February 2019. We had our first kickoff meeting with the county in April. And through that time, we've been submitting technical reports to support our environmental impact report. And we're at the stage now where we're anticipating the notice of preparation or initial study of Big Beau, which should be released here publicly within the next 2 weeks. All site surveys for the project have been completed, and our tech studies have been prepared in review with Kern County and their technical consultant. Aside from the conditional use permit that we're seeking from Kern County, there will be additional development permits we'll be seeking once a conditional use permit, once we hopefully receive the conditional use permit. We're working with CDFW, or California Division of Fish and Wildlife, for a stream bed alteration agreement, as well as Lahadna Regional Water Quality Control Board for a storm permit. The next steps that we are proceeding with now is working through the environmental impact reporting process. We have a goal to secure our conditional use permit within the late first quarter or in the first half of 2020. Then subsequently, we'll be working on those other 2 permits that I mentioned. Our goal is to start construction for the project in Q4 of 2020 with a commercial operation date of December 2021. So we're budgeting about anywhere between 15-12 months for construction of the project. Some of the community benefits that will be from this project will be during the project's construction, an average of 220 temporary construction jobs. The project, once completed, will support some permanent O&M jobs as well. There will be a sales and use taxes collected during construction. And then during the project's operation, there will be public service fees collected by the project for property taxes that will be assessed to the project during its operational life. The anticipated operational life of the project, once constructed and starting operation, will be up to 35 years. As I mentioned at the beginning, we know Kern County well, we know Rosamond well. We make an effort to support a number of activities and groups in Rosamond and Kern County. Some of these that have occurred in the past include the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce. We were a paver sponsor for recently. In the past, we supported the high school baseball scoreboard. There's a solar scoreboard out there that we supported. We supported local STEM scholarships and other areas for CHP Toys for Tots, cheer and football, and the Senior Center Thanksgiving feast. If there are other opportunities for areas where EDF could be supportive in either events or sponsoring projects, please do talk to either myself, Devin, or Krista on the handout that's on the table there. My contact information, phone number, and email address is on that.
So you can grab my information from there. And we'll definitely take any ideas under consideration. I think that is hopefully a good overview of the Big Beau Solar project. There's a lot of work that we'll be doing over the next year in order to bring this project to fruition. But for now, I'm happy to take any questions that folks may have regarding this development.
How close to any homes are you on this project?
So the neighboring homes that are close to the project, there's none here in the west, but in the east here, there's some active residences close to Favorito off of 105th and Hamilton Road.
So what is the impact for those homes?
In what sense?
Anything. What is going to be the impact during your construction for those homes?
Yeah. So, and I did hear about dust. So probably some big thing regarding dust. I can address dust because impact of during construction, there is a lot of traffic, but EDF does do a lot to minimize dust and address those issues. As part of our CEP, we will be securing an air permit in order to construct the project. And we've drafted air quality reports and traffic impact reports to address those issues.
What about the animals in the area?
We have performed biological reports to determine what is out there and then address mitigation impacts during construction and for operation. So that will be addressed and reviewed during the environmental impact review process.
The one thing I also want to add is that we are abiding by setbacks that are being specified by Kern County. So at a minimum, we're setting back 100 feet from residentially zoned parcels. This is one of the new regulations essentially that are being implemented on these projects. When it comes to adjacent landowners, we're likely going to see, when we talk about effects on neighbors, similar to what we're doing right now in Untitled Solar. It's under construction right now. I've been out there several times. From my perspective, and I will acknowledge that I don't live there, but we've done a very good job at controlling dust on the site. We've been limiting our noise, and we've been controlling the traffic to only those designated routes. So our goal is to minimize the impacts on the surrounding neighbors, and we'll continue to take input from the neighbors, from Kern County, to design a project in a way that does do that.
I'm sorry, you said 105th and Hamilton?
So we're considering 3 different access routes. So as part of the process, we need to make sure that we're considering access roads.
Where the houses were, I'm sorry. Where the houses were, you said 105th and Hamilton? There's some houses right there?
There on Hamilton Road is a paved road until you reach 105th.
Right.
And then as you get, right now it's a dirt road and then to Favorito.
So have you submitted your environmental impact report yet, or when do you expect it?
The county prepares the environmental impact report, and they have hired a third-party consultant, ESA. So as the applicant team, we are able to hire our consultants to prepare the technical studies, but the EIR is the county's document as the lead agency.
What type of vegetation's on the property right now? Do we have Joshua trees, Crusoe? Is it big farmland before?
Tree woodlands. It has a variety of kind of desert and arid vegetation. The full biological resource technical report will be attached to the county's and available to the public.
So do you know at this point in time you're going to be able to contribute to I believe there's a fund if you destroy Joshua trees. Can you address that a little bit? How does that work?
I think you're referring to the Designated Harvest Act for Joshua trees and various cacti removals. There's a permit fee with the county for the removal of individual species, but we're probably looking at other opportunities with the project, either in terms of preservation, some relocation. We want to explore all options with the county based on what they come back with the actual impact is.
Do you have any idea how many Joshuas are out there?
Not off the top of my head.
Can you address your construction phase? Are you totally denuding the property? That's where all the dust comes in. I live in an area where there's a 600 acres solar farm. So at that point in time, everything was scraped clean, then they did the trenching, which created just a December. Our windy season could be any time, but usually after the first of the year, February, March,
So our construction is going to be very similar to what we've done with Valentine. So I don't know if you've been out to the project site, but it's immediately adjacent to it. Essentially what we've done is we've mowed the site. So the intent is to leave the root ball intact and to the extent possible allow for the vegetation to recover once we've built the project. We do some level of what we call micrograding, which is where we have to level it off so that our solar arrays can be built in straight lines and have the right topography. But for the most part, what we are trying to do is to keep the existing topography the same, keep all the root systems intact of the vegetation, and to minimize that vegetation removal so it does come up once we've built the project. And at the end of the project, the idea is that there will still be that vegetation system intact. And so ultimately, when the project is removed, we do have to restore the site to the natural system. And so the idea is to keep preserving that within the system as well.
Is the restoration of the site included in the entire plan that the county approves?
A decommissioning plan is typically required in the mitigation measures, and then the project's required to give a financial mechanism, usually in the form of a bond or a letter of credit, and that's to secure that in the event that something happened that's unforeseeable, the county has the financial resources themselves to restore the site.
And you said it's about 2,000 acres for the solar project? Full build-out's 2,000 acres?
So it's, I wouldn't say the full build-out. The area that's under consideration under our project study area, which includes the area in green, the area, the square in brown, is 2,290 acres, of which we can site infrastructure on that area. So we may not use the whole area. We also need to be set back from certain areas, stream beds, or features that don't really allow for solar to be built on. But that's the total amount of acreage that we are considering to site infrastructure.
So when you decommission the panels, where do they go?
They typically go back to a recycling facility and it's managed by the manufacturers. So when we procure the panels from these different panel manufacturers, we'll have an agreement in place with them to take back those panels at the end of life and have them recycled as part of that agreement.
I understand that the largest solar project in California, in San Bernardino, was struck by tornadoes and 200,000 panels were damaged, and there are toxic chemicals in there that, when they're damaged, they leach into the ground. So, what do you do to it?
So the county does require a hazardous business materials plan in place, and typically we also submit things like a fire plan or an emergency response plan to make sure that chemicals that are part of the project have been properly identified, that the location of those is known, and that there is a remediation plan should something happen. You can speak to the different panel technologies if you want to, Scott, regarding the specific tech that's being looked at for this project, but typically those plans are in place in the event that something should break, that it's properly addressed.
We've got time for 2 more questions. Greg, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Number one, when will the EIR be completed and ready for public review? And when will the negative deck be completed and that as well for public review? And also, exactly how many homes will be within that 100-foot easement from your project?
So regarding the first question, the schedule, we anticipate that the EIR will be ready for public review early Q4 of this year. Regarding the second question,
that means like October timeframe.
Yeah. Regarding the second question, the negative. So
there's a negative declaration is not required when you're doing an environmental impact report. So the environmental impact report is kind of the more substantial document than a negative declaration. So we're not preparing one of those.
Greg, were you meaning the notice of preparation?
Or the initial study?
The study, the first that's coming out soon?
Yeah, so there's a first notice
Yeah.
when the county undertakes an environmental analysis. That process starts with a notice of preparation. That's expected to come out within the next 2 weeks. Yeah, the next 2 weeks. So that'll be kind of the official initiation of the process. And then you'll have an ability to comment on the scope of the environmental analysis at that time. Then the county completes the preparation of the environmental impact report. That's made available for public review. That's what we think is going to happen in October. And then ultimately they take all the comments during that time frame, prepare responses, and then usually finalize the document.
Last question, this lady back over here behind John.
And you didn't answer the question, how many homes are being impacted by your 100-foot buffer?
So for clarification, the 100-foot comes on our property.
Right.
So we're setting back on our property. Now, I think what you're trying to get at is how many homes are forcing that 100-foot buffer. So when you look at this map, there's really 2 homes in that 105th and Favorito area that are right on our border of our project. So there's 2 homes right there, but we're providing a 100-foot buffer for any residentially zoned land. So it's not just those 2 homes, but there are any other residentially zoned parcels that we abut to. We'll be also providing that setback.
Could you explain what the state-owned land is? Is that a nature preserve, or is that, and how did you acquire that? The state sell it to you, or what are you doing exactly?
Sources. In this case, this piece of property was tagged for the potential for desert tortoise and for recreational activities, so it does carry that added designation. And what we would be doing is leasing the land from the State Lands Commission for our use. As part of our analysis, we had to look at whether it was being used for desert tortoise or recreation and ensure that we weren't impacting that use. There are no desert tortoise that are out here, and currently there's no substantial recreation activities also being used for that parcel. So we're addressing those issues through the state land process, but we also have to complete that process with them, similar to what we have to do with Kern County. And I greatly appreciate the time that you've given us. I know that there were a lot of hands and questions, so I don't mind stepping out and taking questions and having discussions with people separate so we don't disrupt the meeting.
We're starting to run a little behind on schedule.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Organizations and clubs are invited to make announcements regarding upcoming events open to the public. Please limit your presentation to no more than 3 minutes. Okay. Move on to 9, public comment period. Any member of the public may address the council regarding any matter of concern to the Rosamond residents. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the law prevents the council from taking action on matters that are not on the agenda. Please limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
So, in the paper Friday, I was kind of surprised. Somehow this has been passed us before, a project to pump billions of gallons of water out from under the Mojave Desert and sell it to people in Southern California could be slowed by a bill. So we've talked about water a little bit and the aquifers. We were concerned about that. So all the people that are using well water, I would guess that it wouldn't impact us right away, but in the future, it seems like if we're draining those aquifers, that seems a little scary to us. And then we wonder who, it says the water is going to be sold to people in Southern California, so who benefits from the sale of that?
That must be a question probably for the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency. I doubt our CSD has a active role in that. But Red Wood is just outside the door there. He's with RCSD. You could pose that question to him.
And AVEC is out there too. Keith Dias is out there.
Oh, Greg Washington.
Greg
Yeah, Greg
Washington's
is
right
here.
there.
All right, Greg, wake up.
The
Oh,
lady
in
behind-
relation to her question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did hear a little bit about that just the other day, but as Mr. Parkman stated, that's an AVAC question that probably they need to be addressed and then, yeah. But I did hear some of that and kind of had some concerns that you had as well.
Sounds a little scary. Doesn't sound too good.
Yeah. Seems like
AVAC
we'll be right
guys
back where
right
we
out
started.
Right, it's a non-renewable resource. You start raising water, you can't really put it back in. And once it's in motion, it's really hard to take things back. So, yeah, it's a little bit alarming.
Why aren't people saying something about this? Why is it such a like a under the table thing? You know, I mean, this article was only that big.
Keith's in the stay around so he can answer that question.
Oh, good.
And so, you know, it seems like why don't people say something instead of just, oh, I'm just not gonna ruffle any feathers, you know?
There might be more information given out at the water board meeting. Thank goodness we have them come here and they give us an overview, very minute of what they're going through. So that might be something that you could ask them directly, and they would have more information at that meeting.
That's an open forum as well.
I believe it is.
They do have a
It is.
As far as being able to see these things in print and stuff like that, I think every organization has a problem with getting the word out to the communities that are all involved with these things. I know that, for example, for RMAC, we'll address an issue and we'll still get asked for the next 6 months to a year about that issue, even after it's been resolved. It's just the nature of the beast, because a lot of the people that live here in the Antelope Valley do not work in the Antelope Valley, they work in Los Angeles. So when they come home in the evening, the last thing in the world they want to do is come to an RMAC meeting or sit down and bother to read the newspaper or anything like that. So it takes a long time sometimes for the word to get around. But there's certainly nothing from my perspective that I can see where that's being done under the table. I don't know what paper that's in, but I bet you it was carried in a couple of other newspapers as well.
AV Press. It's got an AV Press.
Okay, well, what we'll do is when Greg comes back in, we'll come back and deal with that. I'd like to go ahead and step on through the agenda so we can get done. Okay, business meeting. The new revised crosswalks and upgrades to signalized crosswalks. Continuing the compilation of data and preparation of the draft letter to Kern County Public Works and to the District 2 supervisor. This is essentially to add 3 signalized crosswalks in the community. One over here by the Gateway Plaza, the other up by Rosamond High School, and then the third one out by Tropico Middle School. And that is it. Continuing, we hope to have the draft for the RMAC board in August. Okay, waste management services, transfer station, bulk trash pickup. Director Shepley.
So this Saturday, Waste Management is opening up their gates to us. Instead of making us go all the way to Mojave, they're letting us drop off bulky items here locally at Waste Management, the old Benny's. It'll be from 8 to 1 o'clock. I do need help. I'm trying to get all the desert picked up and dropped off this day. So anybody with trucks, trailers, whatever you have, even if you don't have one, come jump in my truck, help load it. We're going to be picking up all morning. I'm going to start Friday night, actually. Come early Saturday morning, drop off. Because there's a lot of desert stuff out there. So if you live here, you're here, please come and help us. Just go take a load. If you see someone on the side of the road, pick it up, throw it on the back of your car, and take it up there and drop it off. It's simple. We thank you. And this will be quarterly, by the way. We'll set the next date here
Lisa, what do you mean by bulky? Are we talking tires, mattresses, couches,
All the above.
refrigerators, TVs?
Except what?
I
Except
don't
what?
think tires.
Well, yeah, just give us an
Tires.
idea.
Tires and paint is what I was
Tires,
told.
any HHW, so any household hazardous waste, like paint.
That cannot be put in this.
Correct.
If people
Correct.
bring
It's just
it, there's gonna be a place to leave it there with you, correct?
We'll put I'll put a trailer out there.
yeah. Okay. Because it is weird too. Tires, you can actually only transport up to 9 without a permit in the state of California. So there are some weird loopholes that, but no HHW, things like that, that will be turned away. There is HHW drop-off stations that you would have to look at the Kern Public Works site in Mojave, Tehachapi, Ridgecrest, and so those are the main places for
So it's basically couches and mattresses.
couches, mattresses, chairs,
bulky,
table.
Okay. Just make sure everybody knows that.
And the big thing is I'd like the individuals themselves to bring it to the drop-off area. Now, we're willing to arrange to have folks go out to certain areas, for example, for a senior citizen who may not have a truck, and we'll get their item picked up and taken to the yard here. But I'm a little hesitant about throwing open an open platter because then everybody will go and dump it out at 90th Street and expect it to be picked up by us, and that's not what we're in the business for. It's logistically difficult just to do this small area of Rosamond. This is going to tell us a lot about how grandiose our October plan should be. If we don't get much participation, if there's not much stuff turned in, then maybe it's not something that needs to be done 4 times a year. So your support would be greatly appreciated.
It's our test run, see how it goes, and we appreciate you guys opening up your
It's a great idea.
Okay, Parks and Recreation, community swimming pool, skate park in Glendower Park. Really the only new item there is I've gotten some materials courtesy of Laura Wyatt that will help me and guide me a little bit on how to do an application under Prop 68 money for a skate park. Hopefully I don't screw that up too bad, and we'll have a chance at it, but we'll certainly present it around, let other folks take a look at it before we submit it. But I do want to make sure that when we get it in time that we have a chance to get some money for it. And the last item on that is we're still looking at the possibility of a public-private partnership for Parks and Recreation here in the Rosamond area. Logistically, I don't know how it would work. I know that the public-private partnerships have been done in the past in other communities and stuff, and it has worked very well. I haven't heard of a horror story yet, but I'm sure there are some out there. But we'll look at all those things because we want to find a way that we can make our parks green here. Make sure our pool keeps water in it at least for half a year each year. And also have a skate park where kids can go and not have to be chased out of Albertson's parking lot and stuff like that. So your support in that regard would be most helpful. Okay. Last item under this is the New Community Bank. We do not have an update this month, and Alexia is not here tonight. So,
But Sherry, we want you back.
okay, moving to old business, East Rosamond access for emergency vehicles. The draft letter we have for this will be presented at the August meeting. It details out a rough cost benefit analysis of this road that we want to put in. It's going to be far cheaper than taking and building an overpass over the railroad track. That was never, in my opinion, it was never really a viable idea. It was something that was done or thought of many years ago. But an overpass, as I understand it, runs about $25 million.
Big.
That road down 10th Street west to Patterson Road is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3.5 million, depending upon what utilities have to go in and stuff. Okay, administration office space and files. We've done a furnishings request. That's being forwarded to the District 2 office for fulfillment, and that's going to be for our new office. Okay. I do want to note on the RMC special vacancy notices that Antelope Valley Press did pick up and run an advertisement looking for people to serve on the RMAC. If anyone here is interested in joining the RMAC, be appointed by Zach Strickland, please see one of us after the meeting today so we can help you with that process. Okay. New business, long and short-term goals for 2019, 2020, 2021. We will have a draft for this at next month's meeting. It's going to be on a nice, pretty little display board. We'll give you an idea of what we see as things that we can try to accomplish in the community, not only us as RMAC, but all of us as residents of the community. And you'll certainly be able to make input to that if you would like. Okay. Director's agenda referrals. Do you have anything done?
I will in the future, not today.
Lisa?
Not today.
Brennan?
None at this time.
And I have nothing under that. Director's comments. The Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council observed its 13th year of service to the Kern County Board of Supervisors and the residents of the community of Rosamond and adjacent outlying areas on March 6th of 2019. Accordingly, with the 15th anniversary of RMAC coming up in March of 2021, the Council would like to solicit the opinion of the community regarding how this event should be recognized and celebrated. We have a little bit of time, so if you have some thoughts and stuff like that, please let us know. Okay. Do any other directors have any comments?
Oh, I do, actually. The 31st here at Hummel Hall, we will be having the Kern County Health Bus. They come out once a month to Hummel Hall. They will be here from 11 to 1. They will do vaccines for children if needed for school also that day. They do a whole host of services, actually, a little van. And they come right out here in the parking lot, so spread the word if anybody needs them. They also will do the physicals for school, I'm told. So just be aware of that. And that is all.
Brennan? Yes, I can adjourn until he comes back and answers that question.
Okay, I'll go get him.
Okay. I hope you didn't leave. We'll find out.
Get back here.
She has a question for you.
Yeah, I was wondering about the billions of water that we pumped out of the office of other Southern California residents. What is that about?
You know, I was just handed this piece of paper, and I need to look at it and research that before I can give an answer to you. But if I can get the information from you, I can call you back, or I can make a report at next month's meeting on this. But I was just literally handed this probably 10 minutes ago when I was out talking to the people from EDF, so I haven't had a chance to really look at it. So if you give me some time to get the information, I'll be happy to give you a response to it.
The concern is that it's almost ready to go. There's one more thing that has to pass, and then we can start. Somebody's selling the water, somebody's benefiting from the sale of that water. Who are they selling it to?
doesn't say where, but it's still a concern.
The only thing I can say for sure is again, the Mojave Desert is a huge desert, and but here in the Antelope Valley, we are an adjudicated basin. So every drop of water that's in our basin in the Antelope Valley is controlled by the Antelope Valley Water District. And so I can tell you right now, there's not going to be a drop of water leaving this valley to go somewhere else that they won't know about. The boundaries, the Antelope Valley goes from the Nenach Basin to the west to, it's kind of zigzag, but just to kind of give you a square picture of it. It basically goes up to Don Road, Edward Air Force, actually out on the Edward Air Force Basin. They're part of the adjudicated basin as well. All the way down to Little Rock. I believe it goes a little bit east of Little Rock and along the base of the mountains there. But essentially, the Antelope, what's considered the Antelope Valley, that is the Antelope Valley Basin. And so it encompasses Rosamond, Willow Springs, parts of Edwards, Lancaster, Palmdale, Fort Sill, Little Rock, Antelope Acres, trying to go off the top of my head, but it's a large basin, but essentially it's the basin for this community, and because our basin is a closed basin, which means